In the town of Oshobo, where red earth met gossip faster than rain met dust, there lived a woman everyone loved. Her name was Amara Adeyemi. If goodness had a face, people said, it would look like Amara's. Every morning, she stepped out of her compound dressed in soft Ankara gowns, her head neatly tied, her smile gentle enough to calm angry spirits. She greeted elders with respect, knelt to greet her in-laws, and laughed softly at the market women's jokes. God really blessed Kunal with a wife, they whispered. Kunal Adeyemi, her husband, was a respected civil servant. Honest, quiet, hard-working. The kind of man who believed marriage was a sacred ground, not a battlefield. And Amara? She played the role perfectly. At church, she led the women's fellowship prayers. At funerals, she cried the loudest. At weddings, she advised brides on patience and loyalty. Endure, she would say gently. Marriage is not easy, but a good woman holds her home. Women admired her. Men trusted her. Pastors praised her. But behind the high walls of the Adeyemi compound, when the gate locked and night swallowed the town, Amara removed her mask. And what remained was not a good wife. It was something far darker. Inside the house. That night, Kunal returned home late, exhaustion written all over his face. He dropped his bag and sighed. Amara, I'm home. She appeared from the kitchen, smiling, wiping her hands on a napkin. You must be tired, she said sweetly. I've kept your food warm. Kunal smiled back, unaware. As he ate, Amara watched him closely, every bite, every breath, her eyes cold, calculating. You were late again, she said softly. There was an audit at the office, Kunal replied. My boss. Before he could finish, Amara slammed the spoon on the table. Excuses, she snapped, her voice suddenly sharp like broken glass. Kunal froze. I work to provide for this family, he said calmly. Why are you angry? She laughed. Not the soft laughter people knew. This one was cruel. Provide, she scoffed. Kunal, if not for me, you would still be nobody. His heart sank. Why do you always talk like this at home? He asked quietly. Outside, you're different. Amara stood up slowly, walked around the table, and leaned close to his face. Because outside, I perform, she whispered. Inside I rule. The first crack. Kunal had met Amara 6 years earlier. She was beautiful, intelligent, and confident. He had ignored the warning signs, the way she always wanted control, the way her kindness disappeared in private. Marriage, he thought, would soften her. It didn't. Instead, Amara became worse. She controlled his phone, controlled his salary, controlled who he spoke to. When he tried to resist, she reminded him. I made you. I can unmake you. That night, as Kunal slept, Amara sat on the edge of the bed, staring at him with hatred in her eyes. This man trusts me too much, she thought. And trust is weakness. She reached under the mattress and pulled out a small leather bag. Inside were strange objects, red thread, cowries, black powder, a folded photograph of Kunal. She smiled. The friend who noticed. Not everyone was blind. Zainab, Kunal's younger sister, had always felt something was wrong. She smiles too much, Zainab once said. And her eyes. They don't smile. One afternoon, Zainab visited unexpectedly. Amara welcomed her warmly. You're always welcome, my sister, she said, hugging her. But Zainab noticed something else. Kunal was thinner, quieter, broken. Later, while Amara was in the kitchen, Zainab whispered, Brother, are you okay? Kunal hesitated. I'm fine, he lied. But his eyes betrayed him. Zainab grabbed his hand. That woman, she's not what she shows people. Before Kunal could respond, Amara appeared behind them. Talking secrets? She asked sweetly. Zainab forced a smile. Amara forced nothing. That night, Amara confronted Kunal. Your sister is poisoning you against me, she said angrily. If you value peace in this house, you will cut her off. Cunnel stared at her in disbelief. She's my blood. Amora's face darkened. Then choose your blood, or your life. The villain awakens. Days later, strange things began happening. Cunnel started having nightmares. He lost focus at work. His promotion was suddenly withdrawn. At home, Amora thrived. She hummed happily. She prayed loudly. She cooked his favorite meals. The town praised her even more. Amora is such a supportive wife, they said. But every night, when Cunnel slept, Amora returned to her rituals. This marriage is my throne, she whispered. And no king survives when the queen turns evil. One night, as thunder roared outside, Cunnel woke up suddenly. He felt a presence. He turned, and saw Amora standing over him, holding something dark in her hand. Amora, he whispered. She smiled. A smile that did not belong to a good wife. Cunnel's heart pounded as he stared at the dark object in Amora's hand. Thunder cracked across the sky, lighting up the room for a brief second. It was a small calabash, tied with red thread. Amora realized he was awake. She froze. Then, slowly, she smiled. You scared me, she said softly, quickly hiding the calabash behind her. Bad dream. Cunnel swallowed. Yes, bad dream, he lied. But sleep never returned that night. From that moment on, Cunnel knew one thing. There was something terribly wrong with his wife. The story Amora never told. Long before she became Amora Adeyemi, the admired wife of Oshobo, she was simply Amora Okiri, a girl from a forgotten village near the river Idemili. Her mother was feared. Not respected. Not loved. Feared. People whispered that Madame Okiri could make rain fall without clouds, could heal or destroy with herbs and chants. Children were warned never to accept food from her house. Amora grew up watching power command silence. She learned early that kindness was weakness, and fear was control. When her mother died suddenly, villagers said nothing publicly, but privately, they sighed in relief. Before her death, her mother had grabbed Amora's wrist and whispered, "Never be small. Never beg. If love fails you, rule." Amora never forgot those words. Marriage as a strategy. When Amora met Cunnel in Lagos, she saw opportunity, not love. Cunnel was honest, predictable, and ambitious. Perfect. She studied him the way hunters study prey. She learned his fears, his dreams, his weaknesses. She became everything he wanted. Soft, supportive, faithful. And when he proposed, she smiled sweetly, already planning how to own his life completely. Marriage wasn't companionship to Amora. It was dominion. The new woman. In Oshobo General Hospital, a new nurse resumed duty. Her name was Nneka Obi. Quiet, observant, sharp-eyed. She noticed Cunnel the first day he was rushed in after collapsing at work. Stress, they said. But Nneka noticed something else. His pulse reacted strangely to certain smells. His eyes darkened whenever his wife arrived. When Amora entered the ward, nurses smiled. Such a caring wife, they whispered. But Nneka felt cold. Very cold. As Amora held Cunnel's hand and prayed loudly, Nneka saw something flash in her eyes. Not worry. Possession. Cracks in the perfect image. At home, Amora's control tightened. She insisted Cunnel stop eating outside food. She forbade him from visiting his family alone. She prayed aggressively over him every night. You must submit, she'd whisper. For peace. Cunnel was fading. One evening, Zainab returned unannounced. She found Cunnel sitting alone in darkness. Brother, she cried, rushing to him. You look like a shadow. Before Cunnel could answer, Amora stepped in. Zainab, this house has rules, she said coldly. You don't barge in. Zainab snapped. You're killing him slowly. Silence fell. Amara laughed. You think love is always gentle? She asked. Sometimes love disciplines. Zainab stepped back. For the first time, fear crawled into her chest. The nurse's warning. Days later, Necker caught Kunnal alone at the hospital during a follow-up visit. Sir, she said quietly, may I ask you something personal? Kunnal nodded weakly. Since your marriage, she asked, have your dreams changed? Kunnal stiffened. Yes. Do you feel watched, even when alone? He whispered. Yes. Necker exhaled slowly. You are being spiritually attacked, she said. And the source is inside your house. Kunnal's eyes widened. That's impossible, he said automatically. Necker leaned closer. Evil does not always look evil, she said. Sometimes it looks like a praying wife. Amara knows. That night, Amara felt it. The disturbance. Someone had spoken truth into Kunnal's ears. She stood before her mirror, removing her head tie, her smile gone. So, she whispered, someone wants to interfere. She opened her leather bag again. Inside now were 3 photographs. Kunnal, Zainab, and a new one. Necker. Amara smiled slowly. Everyone who touches what is mine, she murmured, must pay. Thunder rolled again. And far away, Necker suddenly shivered, as if someone had just spoken her name in the dark. The storm that night seemed louder than usual. Rain pounded on the Adeyemi compound, and thunder shook the walls as if echoing the turmoil inside. Kunnal sat in his study, trembling. His hands clutched the photograph Necker had given him, the one showing strange markings on Amara's private altar. He had tried to ignore it. He had tried to convince himself that it was superstition. But now, he knew. Amara was not just controlling him. She was dangerous. The confrontation. Kunnal decided it was time. He could no longer live as a shadow in his own home. He waited until Amara stepped out to pray at her shrine in the back room. Then he called Zainab and Necker. Within minutes, both women arrived, eyes wide with fear, but determination burning. Brother, Zainab said, clutching his arm. This is your life. We cannot lose you. Necker stepped forward. She's been poisoning your life, Kunnal. Spiritually, emotionally, and soon physically. Kunnal nodded. I can't fight her alone anymore. But if we confront her, it will be dangerous. Amara's revelation. Before they could act, Amara entered the room. She smiled, that cold, perfect smile. I see you've invited guests, she said sweetly. Kunnal, my love. Why do you look so afraid? Zainab spoke up. We know, Amara. We know what you've done. Stop hiding behind that mask. For the first time, Amara's eyes flashed with real anger. You think you can defy me? She hissed. I made this man. I can destroy him. And all of you. She laughed, a sound that curdled blood. She reached for the leather bag. The battle of wills. Necker did not hesitate. She took a small pouch from her bag, her own counter-ritual learned from the elders at her village. She began chanting softly, throwing herbs and powders into a small fire in the center of the room. Amara recoiled. Her hands shook for the first time. You dare, she screamed. I am Amara Adeyemi. No one challenges me. Kunnal stepped forward, trembling but resolute. No more. Not tonight. The fire grew, the smoke twisting around Amara, as if the house itself sided with the righteous. Amara shrieked, her mask of sweetness melting away. You will all regret this, she cried, but the power she had wielded so easily began to slip. Justice and redemption. By dawn, Amara was gone. Not dead, but defeated. She fled the city, leaving behind the power that had made her feared. The town of Oshobo whispered for months about the good wife who was a villain, and the story became legend, a warning that appearances can deceive. Kunnal was free. The shadows over his life lifted. He embraced Zainab and Necker, tears flowing. "Thank you," he said. "You saved me." Zainab smiled. "We only did what was right. No one should live in fear in their own home." Necker nodded. "Remember, true strength comes from facing the truth, not hiding behind lies." The Adeyemi compound slowly returned to peace. Kunal began to rebuild his life, stronger, wiser, and more cautious, but with a newfound faith in family and honesty. And somewhere far away, Amara plotted, silent and bitter, but no longer invincible. Epilogue. Years later, Oshobo would remember Amara Adeyemi, not as the perfect wife she pretended to be, but as a cautionary tale. Beware the smiles that hide venom, and the hands that pretend to heal while they wound. Kunal would marry again, this time a woman of integrity. He would teach his children, kindness is strength, and truth is the greatest shield. And for Zainab and Necker, the victory was not just in saving a man, they had preserved the sanctity of home, honor, and humanity. The storm had passed. The villain had fallen. And life, at last, could breathe.